Okay, you've probably heard the story 1,000 times. Jesus out in the wilderness, 40 days, face to face with Satan. It's one of the most epic confrontations in history. But what if I told you that the real key to understanding what was actually going on is buried inside a single, kind of weird detail that most of us just skim right over? Well, let's get into it. So here's the mystery. When Satan tempts Jesus to jump off the temple, he actually quotes the Bible, specifically Psalm 91. And on the surface, that seems, I don't know, almost random, doesn't it? A strange choice. But it turns out that specific psalm is not random at all. In fact, it's the absolute key to the entire chess match that's playing out in the desert. To get to the bottom of this, we've actually got to take a little detour and solve another puzzle from around the same time. You see, when Jesus kicks off his ministry, he starts casting out demons. And people immediately see this as a sign that he's the Messiah. But where do they even get that idea? I mean, think about it. If you go back and read the entire Old Testament, Genesis all the way to Malachi, you know what you'll find? Zero. Not a single instance of anyone performing an exorcism. It just never happens. Yet the second Jesus does it, all these bells and whistles go off for the people watching. The difference is pretty stark. So this expectation, it was real. It was a massive deal. It was a core thing people were looking for in their Messiah. So that leads us to the big question. If this huge sign of the Messiah isn't found anywhere in their scriptures, where in the world did it come from? Well, the answer is hiding in the very psalm Satan decided to use. All right, let's look at Psalm 91 itself. Now, to us, it reads like this beautiful poem about God's protection, but for an ancient reader, it was something way more specific and, honestly, a lot more intense. When we hear those words today, we think about, being safe from harm or getting sick. And that's fine. But that's not what the original audience heard at all. They heard something totally different, and a wild discovery in the 20th century actually proved it. So get this, archaeologists digging around the Dead Sea find this old jar, and inside they find Psalm 91 bundled together with 4 other psalms, and every single one of those other psalms were known, explicit, honest-to-goodness exorcism texts. This was no coincidence. They saw Psalm 91 as an anti-demon psalm. But why? Okay, and here is where it all clicks. For an ancient Israelite reading this in Hebrew, the words that we translate as pestilence, destruction, and terror, they weren't just ideas. They were the actual proper names, Deber, Keteb, Pahad, of well-known Canaanite demonic gods. This psalm wasn't a gentle prayer for safety. It was a battle cry. It was spiritual warfare. So the bottom line is this. Back in the day, Psalm 91 was understood as a powerful prayer, almost like an incantation for fighting back against the powers of darkness. It was the demon-fighting psalm. Which, of course, brings us to the next logical question. What does any of this have to do with the Messiah? We've established that Psalm 91 is all about battling demons. Now we have to connect that specific power to the Son of David, which was another name for the Messiah they were all waiting for. Okay, so in the time between the Old and New Testaments, a really strong belief started to take hold. The idea was that King David and his son Solomon had this supernatural authority over evil spirits. So the logic for them was pretty simple. If the Messiah is going to be the great son of David, then it only makes sense that he would inherit that same power over demons. And that, right there, solves our first puzzle. The reason people instantly connected Jesus casting out demons to him being the Messiah wasn't because of some obscure verse, but because of this deep cultural understanding that we've kind of lost. He was doing exactly what the Son of David was supposed to do. Okay, you with me? We have all the pieces now. Psalm 91 is an anti-demon psalm, and that power belongs to the Son of David. So let's go back to that showdown in the desert, because this changes everything. See, Satan doesn't just pull a random verse out of a hat. No way. He picks the one psalm most directly associated with the Messiah's power over him and his demonic realm, and he throws it right back in Jesus' face. This isn't just a temptation. It's a strategic move. It's a test. This whole confrontation isn't about getting Jesus to do a magic trick. Satan is fishing for intelligence. He knows who Jesus is, but he doesn't know God's game plan. He is desperately trying to get Jesus to reveal his strategy for winning this whole cosmic war. So just think about it for a second. Let's say Jesus says, "You're right, this is my psalm, watch this," and he jumps. The angels swoop in and catch him. What critical piece of intel has Satan just won? He would learn that killing the Messiah is off the table as a viable strategy. But here's the kicker. Jesus knows that his death on a cross is exactly what has to happen. It's the central move in the entire plan. If Jesus shows his hand and proves he's physically invulnerable, he gives away the one path to victory that Satan needs to block.
So Jesus' comeback? It is absolutely brilliant. He's not just giving a pious answer. He's essentially saying, I'm not demonstrating my power for you. You're not going to get God's strategy out of me. Nice try, but I'm not showing you my cards.
And just like that, Jesus navigates this incredibly complex, high-stakes information game. And he wins. He passes a test that, you have to remember, had been failed before. And this all connects beautifully to the larger biblical story. The nation of Israel was supposed to be God's true servant, right? But they were tested in the wilderness, and they failed, over and over. Now Jesus, as the perfect Israel, the true servant, goes into that same wilderness, faces his own test, and passes with flying colors.
So with this crucial victory, the path is cleared. The spiritual and intellectual battle is won. The test has been passed. The ministry is ready to begin. And now, it's game on.
So what started out as just a strange quotation from Satan turns out to be the master key that unlocks the entire scene's strategic depth. And it kind of leaves you with a fascinating question, doesn't it? If this much meaning is buried just beneath the surface of one of the most famous stories we all think we know, what else are we missing?